Good morning, dear students. Welcome in the sixth number lecture from the chapter Enhancement of the Food Production. Dear students, as you know, the topic in this chapter is animal husbandry. I am teaching you, and as you know, animal husbandry is an agriculture practice of breeding and raising the livestock like the cows, buffaloes, and different types of animals and birds. It is not only the skill of a farmers, but also it is as much as a science as it is an art. So dear students, in this lecture I'm going to teach you about most interesting topic, that is sericulture, lag culture, fishery, etc. So dear students, this is your Shahzad sir, and this is my Patel Science Academy, and do please do subscribe my channel and learn about the different topics from this chapter one by one. So dear students, sericulture, in this topic we'll go in the detail of this sericulture. This is very interesting topic, and what happens in the sericulture, let me show you something before I start teaching about this sericulture to you. So these are the different worms which is being used in this sericulture, dear students. So this is the larva of that worm which is used in this sericulture. So I'm going to explain you about this sericulture in detail. So dear students, what is sericulture? Sericulture, it's a branch of applied zoology which deals with the rearing of, or look aftering of, or management of, or taking care of, means the rearing of silkworm. You can observe here this silkworm is there in front of you, and its production of silk. So dear students, sericulture is nothing but the branch of the applied zoology which deals with the rearing of the silkworm and the production of the silk. Isn't it an interesting thing? The production of the silk is done by this worm, by this insect, which is, that's why it is called silkworm. So because it is responsible for the production of the silk, that's why it is called sericulture. So dear students, it's a branch of applied zoology which deals with the rearing of the silkworm and the production of the silk. So this is the rearing of this is the technique of applied zoology, from the applied zoology, in which the silkworm is reared or looked after, and its role is to produce the silk. So different types of silk can be produced in this technique. So like the other farming, sericulture too involves the skills of the scientific knowledge, and for the rearing and the development. So there is a need of a scientific knowledge for this sericulture. So dear students, now we'll see one by one. This is the life cycle of this silkworm, you can see here. So what is there in the life cycle? You are observing adult female here. The simple life cycle, it includes this adult females, it lays eggs on the mulberry tree. There is a tree, its name is mulberry, and on the leaf of the mulberry tree it lays eggs. You can see here these eggs, and these eggs then hatches and larva comes out. So this larva is called caterpillar larva or matured caterpillar larva. It is having spiracle. I'll show you all that spiracles, its heads, this middle part and this last part, and thoracic legs you are also observing here, and spiracles also observing here. This is called the matured caterpillar larva. This caterpillar larva, it feeds on this mulberry leaf and wrap on itself a silk, a resins like structure, which is actually a silk, and it covers its body by that silk. That is, this structure is called cocoon. Inside this cocoon, this larva is there. Because it has to get heat, that's why it releases one liquid there as a silk, and when it comes in a contact of air, it become hardened, so it wraps itself and become this structure. Inside this is the larva. The next developmental stages takes place inside this cocoon. This is the structure in which inside which this larva is there to get matured and to get converted into this matured adult or adult form. So this cocoon, when it when it completes its all stages of development, this cocoon is ruptured and this comes out, this adult comes out from this cocoon, and this cocoon, rest of the material present in the cocoon, now it is collected and this becomes silk. So dear students, this is about the simple life cycle of silkworm, in which adult stage is there, the egg laying stage is there, caterpillar larva stage is there, cocoon is there, and it hatches and adult comes out from this cocoon. So this is about this cocoon, dear students. You can one more time observe here the whole stage of this life cycle from this caterpillar larva, that is called silkworm. So it requires a little investment and can be started in a small space, and it is the oldest business, and large number of the families are associated with the production of this silk in India. So dear students, which silk is produced in this technique? Disabled, older person, handicapped person too can successfully do this job, because this is very golden opportunity for all types of peoples, even in the retarded or handicapped people too, they can go for this technique. The base silk called mulberry silk, this is noticeable point. Base silk is always mulberry silk. This is called mulberry silk because it is the silk produced on the mulberry plant or mulberry tree. Base silk is mulberry silk, and the worms produced by the worms, the name of that worm is Bombyx mori or Bombyx mori. The tussar silk and the eri silk are the inferior quality. The tussar silk and eri silk, this is not best quality, this is inferior quality, and the quality and the quantity of the silk, it depends on the quantity of the mulberry leaves on which the larva feed. So whatever the amount of the larva will feed on the mulberry leaf, it will decide your quality of your silk. So base silk is a mulberry silk, and inferior quality silk is a tussar and the eri silk. This is about this simple information regarding this. So rearing and development and looking after of the silk involves the skills of labor of the constant watch. A little negligence can spoil the complete industry. Silkworm larvae may be infected by the protozoa, by the fungal diseases, and besides this, some ants, crows, birds, and other predators can also attack on this insect. So the cages of the larva must be managed, and that predator do not reach there because of that cages. So these involves this little care for that. So you can see this original original silkworm, that is Bombyx mori, here on the leaf of the mulberry tree. So you can see here the spiracle. This spiracles is there. These thoracic legs are there. Dear students, this is about the mulberry silk worm, and now we'll go for the next stage. You can see here the spiracles and the head, thoracic legs, and the spot on the skin. The mulberry silk, Bombyx mori silkworm, you are watching here feeding on this mulberry leaf, and this is the most important structure in this technique. This is that silk released by the mouth of this larvae. It wraps itself when it get sufficient amount of food, when it ingests sufficient amount of the leaf, then it needs heat, and for that heat it start releasing one liquid which in contact of air become this silk like structure. It wraps on itself and hide its body. When it hide its body, so it will look like this structure and this structure. So this structure, oval shaped structure, inside it larva is present. So this structure is called cocoon. This structure is called cocoon. Inside that cocoon, that larva is there and completing its life cycle. So you can see there one cocoon here. Inside this cocoon there is this larva, and now it is going to be hatched, ruptured, and it will comes out as a adult. So now we'll see the adult one. This is cocoon, and this is the silkworm Bombyx mori has come out from this cocoon. This is that Bombyx mori silkworm. So dear students, these are the stages of this silkworm life cycle and the sericulture. So this is that silkworm. It lays eggs on the mulberry leaf. From that eggs, caterpillar larva comes out. Then it forms cocoon, and from cocoon it ruptures, and adult silkworm comes out, and this cocoon's rest of the material is collected in the industry, and this is our silk. So dear students, this is about the sericulture. Now we'll go for the next stage. Next stage is again most important stage, and that is called the lag culture. What are you observing here? This is the lag culture technique, and this is the insect again involved in the formation of the lag. So now I'll explain you about the lag culture. What is lag culture? Unlike this sericulture, lag culture is also a very interesting technique, and now we'll see about detail of this lag culture. What is lag culture? Lag culture is always regarding the production of the lag. So dear students, what is this lag and what is this lag culture? Let's see it in a detail. So dear student, lag is produced by an insect called Tachardia lacca. So this is the technique of producing the lag. What is lag? We'll see. Lag is a complex substance having the large amount of resins together with the sugar, water, minerals, and alkaline substances. Natural lag is always contaminated. Shellac is pure form of the lag obtained by washing and filtering. Lag insect is a native of India, and India share is about 85% of the total lag production in the world. Products of the lag play a vital role in the economy of the farmers, and lag is used in the bangles, toys, woodworks, inks, and mirror formation. The production of the lag requires an artificial inoculation of the plants, which gives the better and regular supply of the good quality and quantity of the lag. So dear students, this is the Tachardia lacca. This is the Tachardia lacca, the insect which is used in this technique to produce this lag. Lag is actually it is that substance which is having the amount of the resins with the sugar, water, minerals, and alkaline substances, which is used to make the bangles for ladies, toys, woodworks, inks, mirrors, etc. So this resin like substance produced by the dermal gland of the female insect, that is Tachardia leca. And insect feed on the succulent twigs of the certain plants, like the, again this is involving the role of the plants, because the insect, it feeds on the leaf of the it resides on, or it lives on the plants like the bear, people, palas, kusum, babuls, etc. On this plant, on this tree, you can see these plants are the habitat or home of that worms, that is Tachardia leca. And they secrete a pink color resins which harden on coming in contact with the air. As I told you, they secrete liquid resins, like a liquid from their mouth, from their body, and it becomes hardened when it comes in a contact of air, and we call that liquid when which become hardened is a lac. So as I told you, natural lac is always contaminated. As I told you, natural lac is always contaminated lac. And it is contaminated. Washing and filtering process is there after collecting that neck from these plants, and she lake is a pure lake. So which lake is pure lake? You can see here, she lake is the pure lake, and the production of the lake plays a vital role in the economy of the farmer. And lake insect is native of India, and about 85% of share of production of the lac is there in this in the world. Lac is used, as I told you, for the bangles, toys, woodwork, polish, ink, silvering the mirror, etc. And production of the lac requires a little inoculation of the plants, which gives the better and the regular supply of the quality and the quantity lac. So this is about the lac culture, and you can see the life cycle of this lac. Adult male and female, when they get mate or copulate, their next generation is produced, which contain this lac cell. This lac cell, then incrustation takes place, and the millions of lacs resides or live their life on the twigs or branches of that plant or tree, like a bear, people, kusum, babul, etc. And then lac incrustation takes place, their next developmental stages, and then it comes out as a crawlers, and that crawlers sitting on the twigs looking like a gregarious settling. So they secrete the lac, and that lac is the resins which contain the amount of the what we say amount of the resins, along with the water, minerals, etc., vitamins, etc. When it comes in a contact of air, it hardens and become the lac. So it is usable in the industry for the different purposes. So life cycle of the lac insect, it takes about 6 months and consists of the stages: egg, nymphs, insta, pupa in adult. And the lac insect have OVVV pairs of the reproduction, and female lays 200 to 500 ready to hatch the eggs, and the embryos are already full developed in the eggs with these when these are laid. So dear students, these are that lacs gregarious. You can see here lac insect on the twig. This is the twig of the plant, and these are the different uh, these are the different gregarious, the lac insect on this twig settling, gregarious settling. So this is about that lac insect. So production is like this, you can see here. These are the gregarious. They have released this liquid resins, and it is coming in a contact of air and has become hardened. You can see here. This is the lac insect crawlers. So these are the different stages, and these are the different products made by that lake: bangles, mirroring the silver, ink, polishing. These are the products of the lake insect. Lake, you can see here, all these are the products. All these products are made by the lake. So this is about the lake culture, dear students. Now we'll go for the fishery, one more technique from this chapter. What is fishery and what are the role of the fishes in this technique? Now we'll see. Fishery is a branch of applied biology which deals with the catching, processing, fish farming and marketing of the fish and other useful aquatic animals such as the prawns, lobsters, oysters, mussels and crabs. So dear students, this fishery involves the use of fishes for the different purposes, and the technique involves the catching process, fishing process, marketing of the fish and aquatic animals. So this fishery involves the fishes, prawns, lobsters, oysters, mussels, crabs. Three divisions of the fishery it involves. There are three types of the fishery: inland fishery, estuarine fishery and marine fishery. So dear students, inland, estuarine and marine fishery, about all that point we'll see one by one. So inland fishery includes culturing and capturing of the fish from the freshwater bodies like the ponds, lakes, dams and rivers. This is called inland fishery. Inland aquatic area of India covers about 40 to 50 lakh acres, and the common freshwater fish are labio fish, that is called labio rohita rohu fish, cattle fish, and Sirhana mrigala, that is mrigala fish, and the other carps. So these are the examples of the inland fishes. The marine fishes, so as I told you, these are the different fishes: labio fish, catla fish, mrigala fish. Marine fishes that are commonly eaten in the India are harpedon, that is called Bombay duck, or sardinella, that is sardine, and the rastriliger, that is mackerel, and the stromatous, that is called pomfret commonly. So this involves the most important estuarine, and other fishery involves the some steps which is very important while performing the fishery process. So you can see labio rohita fish here, catla fish here, labio rohita, barbels are observing by you, operculum, eyes, dorsal fin, caudal fin, and this is Bombay duck. You can see here labio fish, Bombay duck here. So dear students, there are three types of fishery: inland fishery, marine fishery and estuarine fishery. Estuarine fishery includes the capture of the fish from the estuary. Estuary is a place where river meets the sea or ocean. Sundarban area in the West Bengal is the example of this estuarine fish in India. The common factor for the maintenance of fish farm includes the selection of the suitable sites, excavation of the ponds, requirement of the hatchery tank, nursery tank, rearing tank, stocking tank or ponds, water sources, manures, supplementary feeds, etc. The culture fishery may be a monoculture, only one species, or polyculture, many species type. After catching the fishes, spoilage is prevented by the different preservation methods like the chilling, freezing, freeze drying, sun drying, smoke drying, salting and canning. After having preservation processes, In addition to the source of as a nutritious food, fish yield a number of byproducts which are of commercial value, and they are the fish oil, fish meal, fertilizers, fish guano, fish glue, and isinglass. These byproducts are widely used in the paints, soaps, oils, and medicines. Prawns and lobsters have market values all over the world, and fishery provides good job opportunities and the self-employment to the many people. So, dear students, fishery is the branch of a biology which deals with the catching, processing, fish farming, and marketing of the fish and other useful aquatic animals such as the prawn, lobsters, oysters, mussels, and crabs. And three divisions of the fishery are inland fishery, marine fishery, and estuarine fishery. Inland fishery, example, fishery done in the pond, lakes, dam, or riverside. For example, rohita or labio fish, catla fish, mrigal fish, rather carps. Marine fishery, the fishery which is done at the sea water, in the sea water, and herpendine, Bombay duck, etc. is the example. And estuarine fishery, the fishery which is done at estuary, means the point or the place where river connect or opens or meets the ocean or sea. So at that place the water is mixture from the fresh water and the salty water. So all these are the three types of the fishery. This is about this fishery. Now we'll go for the next topic. Next topic is dairy farm management. So dear students, dairy farm management, dairy industries involves the production, processing, and distribution of the milk and the milk products. So milk is a valuable foodstuff universally consumed by the human being, and milk yield mainly depends on the quality of the breeds in the farm, and the selection of the good breeds have a high yielding potential under the climatic conditions of inhabiting the area, and disease resistance is the basic requirement. In India, cows and buffaloes are mainly used for the dairy farms. The Sahiwal, Sindhi, Gir are the Indian breeds, and the Jersey, Brown, Swiss, Holsteins are the exotic breeds which are used in the dairy farming. So, dear students, buffaloes are restricted to some part of Asia only. In India, 6 breeds occur like Zafarabadi, Mehsana, Murra, Nagpuri, Neeli, Surati, which are all good milk producers. Cattle have to be well looked after, and quality and quantity of the fodders in a proper ratio should be given. Silage made from the legumes and grasses, maize and jawar, and makes the good feed. Silage is supplemented with all oil cakes, minerals, vitamins, and salts. Cleanliness and hygiene of the cattle and handler is of more importance while milking, storage, and transport of the milk and milk products. In recent years, much of these processes are mechanized, which reduces the chance of the direct contact with the products. The shed must be cleaned daily, and it should be spacious with the adequate facilities for feeding, watering, and lighting. So, milk processing, marketing, and distribution play an important role in a dairy industry. A variety of the milk products like the curd, cream, butter, ghee, condensed milk, khoa, cheese must be prepared from the extra milk, and on demand. An additional income can be obtained in the cattle's farms for cow dung, manure, fuel cakes, and gobar gas for cooking and lighting. So these are the different breeds that has been used in this technique. So you can see here Mehsana buffalo from the Mehsana, Surati buffalo from Surat, Sahiwal, Zafarabadi, Gir. This is about this lecture. Thank you very much.